Among all the continents in the world, the African continent has the highest amount of mineral resources. Around 30% of the world's natural mineral resources are found here. But despite this, almost every country in Africa remains economically poor and in a terrible condition. That's because throughout the history of Africa, whenever any valuable natural resource, like gold, diamonds, uranium, platinum, or crude oil, was discovered, countless innocent people were killed in the greed to seize control over those resources. And from that brutal history of Africa comes the story of today's movie, Blood Diamond. Released in 2006, this film has an IMDb rating of 8. The story begins in 1999 in a small village in Sierra Leone, West Africa. There we meet a man named Solomon Vandy, who used to earn a living by fishing in the sea and lived a very hard life. But even with all those hardships, he was happy with his family. His family included his wife, 2 daughters, and his older son, Dia. One day, as Solomon was returning home with his son after work, he noticed a group of men approaching their village in vehicles, firing guns. Within moments, these men stormed into the village and began randomly shooting and killing innocent villagers. Watching all this from a distance, Solomon was terrified. He quickly ran home and took his wife and daughters out through the back road to safety. Then he tried to escape with his whole family. But just then, several members of the rebel group spotted him, captured him, and took him as a prisoner. It turns out that many other people like Solomon had also been captured. The rebel soldiers were cutting off the hands of these prisoners one by one. At that time, the entire country was engulfed in a civil war between the government and the people. The group that was fighting against the government was known as the RUF, Revolutionary United Front. The RUF didn't want ordinary citizens to vote and bring government leaders into power. That's why they were attacking villages, brutally killing and maiming people to spread fear. They amputated the hands of many weak villagers, and the healthier-looking prisoners were taken away to work in diamond mines. You see, Sierra Leone had an abundance of diamonds. These rebel soldiers would force innocent villagers from different areas to work in the mines, extracting diamonds. The diamonds were then illegally sold to other countries, and the money was used to buy guns and weapons to continue their fight against the government. Later, we see Solomon and other captives brought to work in one of these diamond mines. Every moment they were under strict surveillance, and if anyone tried to escape or steal a diamond, they would be immediately shot and killed. On the other hand, we are introduced to a man named Danny Archer. At one time, Danny served in the military and participated in many wars, but now he has left that life behind and is involved in arms and weapons smuggling. He supplies guns to the rebel groups in exchange for diamonds. However, one day, while illegally smuggling diamonds out of the country, he gets caught by the national military and is arrested and sent to jail. Meanwhile, Solomon, who had been captured and forced to work in the diamond mines, finds a massive, rare pink diamond while working. Solomon instantly realizes that this diamond is incredibly valuable because nothing this big has ever been found there before. Taking advantage of the moment, he hides the diamond between his toes, then pretends he needs to use the bathroom and walks over to a nearby bush. There, he digs a hole and tries to hide the diamond under a piece of cloth. But just then, Captain Poison, the leader of the rebel group, follows him and holds a gun to Solomon's head, trying to force him to give up the diamond. At that very moment, the country's military launches an attack on the rebels. Before Captain Poison can take the diamond, he is seriously injured by an explosion and falls unconscious to the ground. Taking this opportunity, Solomon buries the diamond in a different spot under the ground. Soon afterward, the military arrests everyone present and takes them to jail. Danny is also imprisoned in the same jail. After some time, Captain Poison regains consciousness. When he sees Solomon in the jail, he becomes furious and starts yelling, "That man has the most valuable diamond in our country. In my entire life, I've never seen a diamond that big. I'll give $1,000 to anyone who can get it from him and bring it to me." Solomon responds, "Are you crazy? I don't have any diamond. You people already took away my entire family. What would I even do with a diamond now?" Saying this, he takes off all his clothes and says, "If you don't believe me, you can search me." From the side, Danny overhears the entire conversation. After listening carefully, he realizes Solomon is lying. He has in fact hidden a large diamond. A few months later, Danny is released from prison. After getting out, he talks to a friend and arranges to have Solomon released as well, so that he can later try to get the diamond from him. Soon after, at Danny's request, his friend helps get Solomon out of jail and tells him to meet with Danny. But Solomon avoids all contact with Danny and quietly leaves. Meanwhile, in a city house, Danny meets a woman named Maddie. Maddie is a journalist by profession, and she's working on an article about how diamonds are illegally smuggled out of this country and sold abroad. She knows very well that Danny is involved in this smuggling operation. Danny smuggles diamonds out of the country and sells them to Vandy, a very powerful businessman based in London. Maddie tries to befriend Danny and cleverly begins extracting information from him about how this diamond smuggling network operates. She says, "This country has an abundance of diamonds, but in the past 5 years, not a single dollar's worth of diamonds has been legally exported." Meanwhile, in that same period, the neighboring country, Liberia, has exported $2 billion worth of diamonds. I know very well that people here are being forced to work in diamond mines, and then those diamonds are illegally smuggled and sold to Vandy in London. I want to know how this entire system works because I'm writing an article about it for the paper. But as soon as Danny finds out that Maddie is a journalist, he refuses to answer her questions and walks away. On the other hand, after getting out of jail, Solomon starts wandering through various refugee camps in the city, desperately searching for his family. But despite all his efforts, he can't find them anywhere. Meanwhile, we see that Solomon's family, along with several others from their village, are hiding and fleeing from the RUF rebel gang. They go from place to place trying to escape, but after several days, the RUF rebels manage to track them down. They separate the children from the adults and abduct all of them, including Solomon's elder son, Dia. The RUF rebels begin training the abducted children to use guns and fight in combat, so that they can help the rebels in the war against the government. These children are brainwashed with false and twisted propaganda, and to prevent them from escaping, they are constantly kept under the influence of drugs and harmful substances. Elsewhere, Danny goes to meet a man named Colonel Coetzee, who runs a private military company. The government had hired Coetzee and his men to help fight against the RUF rebels. Their job was to support the National Army in combat operations. Colonel Coetzee says to Danny, "I've heard you may have found a large diamond." Danny replies, "No, I haven't found it yet." Coetzee responds, "Well, if you do find it, you owe it to me. Remember, the last time you got caught trying to smuggle diamonds, I lost a lot of money." You see, Danny used to work for Colonel Coetzee. His job was to collect diamonds from rebel-held areas and smuggle them into Liberia, and for this he received a hefty commission. Although Danny was now considering leaving that work behind, he had a new plan: to take the diamond from Solomon and leave the country for good. Following this, Danny meets Solomon directly and says, "Since I got you out of prison, you owe me half of that big diamond you've hidden." Solomon responds angrily, "What are you talking about? I don't know anything. I don't have any diamond." Danny says, "I know you're lying. And not just me, the RUF rebels know about the diamond too. If they find you, they'll kill you and your family just to get it. But if you give it to me, I'll help you find your family and take all of you to a safe country." While they're having this conversation, RUF rebels suddenly launch a surprise attack in the area, firing indiscriminately and killing many. Danny and Solomon barely escape with their lives. Meanwhile, the RUF rebels are now teaching the captured children, including Dia, how to kill. Alongside, they continue brainwashing them, saying things like the government and military are evil. Anyone who opposes us must be killed. Eventually, the RUF and their child soldiers begin massacring civilians and government troops in the area, burning entire villages to the ground. The situation across the country becomes horrific. Innocent people are being murdered without reason, and their homes are burned and destroyed. In the midst of all this, Danny and Solomon manage to escape in the darkness of night, barely saving their lives. After walking a long distance, they reach a camp where many foreign journalists were staying, including Maddie, the reporter whom Danny had met a few days earlier. Now, Danny tells her, "Everything you wanted to know from me before, I'm ready to tell you everything now, but I have one condition. You help me find Solomon's family. Since you're a journalist, it should be easier for you to access information and get this done." Maddie agrees to help them. She checks the government database and learns that Solomon's family is currently in a large refugee camp in a place called Guinea. The three of them travel there by helicopter. When they arrive, they see that the army camp is massive, housing thousands of helpless people who had taken refuge there. After searching for a while, Solomon finds his wife and daughters, which fills him with relief and joy. But soon after, when he learns that his son Daya has been taken by the roof, he breaks down, screaming in pain and crying helplessly. Now that Solomon has found his family, Danny asks him for the location of the diamond. As agreed, Solomon says, "I buried the diamond near a mine far from here, but it's in a remote area, and given the ongoing civil war, it's almost impossible for any regular person to travel there safely." So they once again turn to Maddie for help. Danny says, "Since you're a reporter, you can move more freely across regions. So I want you to take me and Solomon as fake journalists and drive us to that place." Maddie responds, "Since coming to this country, all I've been doing is writing about people's suffering. But it doesn't feel right, because writing about pain doesn't help anyone. But if I can somehow expose the truth about how diamonds are being smuggled out of this country to big countries like London and America, and how the money from those diamonds is being used to buy weapons to kill innocent people, then maybe people around the world will stop buying those diamonds." She continues, "But to write that story, I need proof and information, which only you can give me, and I know you'll never tell me anything. You're just using me." Hearing this, Danny gives her a small diary containing names, phone numbers, account numbers, and addresses of all the people involved in the diamond smuggling operation. Danny says, "If you publish this story right now, those people will kill me. But once I get the diamond, I'll flee this country. Then you can publish the story safely." Maddie asks, "But what if you never return with the diamond?" Danny replies, "Then publish it anyway. And if I don't come back, assume that I'm dead." Soon after, Maddie, Danny, and Solomon set out in a journalist vehicle toward the place where the diamond is hidden. But after driving a short distance, roof rebels ambush their vehicle. The three of them barely escape and hide inside a nearby forest. The RUF rebels pursue them, so they're forced to go deeper into the jungle, where they come across a small house. The house belonged to a man named Benjamin Murgai, who had built a school in the jungle to teach indigenous tribal children. The three decide to stay there for a day or two. That night, Danny and Maddie sit and talk. Danny opens up. "When I was 9, war broke out in my country. During that time, some men raped and killed my mother and then hanged my father." As Danny recounts this, he becomes deeply emotional. Maddie holds his hand and comforts him. The next morning, they arrive at an army camp to meet Colonel Coetzee. There they learn that a full-scale war is about to break out across the country. The government has ordered an offensive to wipe out the RUF rebels, and due to the impending war, all foreign journalists are being evacuated for safety. So now, Maddie must also leave with the rest of the journalists. Though she wants to take Danny with her, Danny refuses. "I can't leave without retrieving that diamond from Solomon." Before leaving, Maddie gives Danny her phone number, home address, and office contact, saying, "When you return safely, promise you'll contact me." By this time, Danny and Maddie had begun falling in love with each other. After Maddie leaves, Danny meets with Colonel Coetzee. The colonel says, "Since this country is about to enter all-out war, you'll fight alongside us. And once the war is over and we've destroyed the RUF, you and I will go find that big diamond together." But Danny absolutely didn't want to go through with the original plan. He wanted to take the diamond from Solomon and leave the country by himself. So he stole several guns and essential supplies from the army camp and escaped from there with Solomon. Over the next 2 to 3 days, they crossed through jungles and mountains until they finally arrived at the diamond mine where Solomon had hidden the massive diamond. However, the problem now was that the area was heavily guarded by many members of the RUF gang. And under these circumstances, retrieving the diamond from there was impossible. So Danny was forced to call Colonel Coetzee for help. He said, "I've reached the place where the big diamond is hidden, but the entire area is swarming with RUF soldiers. I want you to send an army helicopter tomorrow morning to drop bombs and open fire. Conduct an airstrike. While everyone's busy fighting the helicopter, I'll sneak in and grab the diamond." Now Danny and Solomon waited there for the morning. But that night, when Danny woke up, he realized Solomon was nowhere around. In fact, Solomon had secretly snuck into the RUF camp in the darkness to find his son. After searching for a while, he finally spotted him. His son Dia was playing cards with other children. Solomon tried to sneak up from behind and grab his son's hand to take him away, but Dia didn't recognize him at all and started screaming loudly, "An enemy has entered our camp." The truth was all the children there were constantly kept drugged, and because of that heavy intoxication, Dia couldn't recognize his own father. Hearing his screams, the others rushed in and captured Solomon, taking him prisoner. The next morning, he was brought before the leader of the group, the same man known as Captain Poison, who had once tried to forcibly take the diamond from Solomon. Captain Poison said, "After you got out of jail, I tried searching everywhere for the diamond, but couldn't find it. Now you're finally going to give it to me." Solomon replied, "Absolutely not. If I give you the diamond, you'll kill me right after." Captain Poison then threatened, "If you don't give me the diamond, I'll kill your son right in front of your eyes. Then I'll find your wife and daughter and kill them too." Hearing this, Solomon was left with no choice but to agree to his demands. But before he could do anything, just as Danny had planned, Colonel Coetzee arrived with his army helicopter and began dropping bombs and firing bullets indiscriminately on the camp. Within moments, chaos erupted and the place turned into a battlefield. Taking advantage of the situation, Solomon grabbed a stick and beat Captain Poison to death, cracking his skull in the process. In the middle of all this, Danny arrived and began stealthily killing the rest of the rebels one by one. Risking his own life, he somehow managed to rescue Solomon's son from the chaos. Soon after, Colonel Coetzee and his troops took control of the entire area. Then Colonel Coetzee asked Danny, "Did you find the diamond?" Danny replied, "No, I haven't found it yet. But once I do, we'll split it equally between the two of us." Colonel Coetzee said, "Absolutely not. I'll give you some money, sure, but you won't get any share of the diamond." To that, Danny responded, "Then I'm not giving you the diamond at all." Hearing that, Colonel Coetzee finally agreed to give Danny 40% of the money from selling the diamond. After that, they asked Solomon to give them the location of the diamond. Solomon said, "If I give you the diamond, then I'll have nothing left. And besides, I don't trust Colonel Coetzee at all." Then Danny threatened him, "If you don't give us the diamond, we'll kill your son." And with that, he handed Solomon's son over to Coetzee, leaving Solomon no choice but to take them to the diamond. When they arrived, they saw that the area was full of pits and dug-up holes. Clearly, Captain Poison and his men had already searched this entire place for the diamond. Solomon started digging at the spot where he had hidden it. Meanwhile, Danny knew very well that once they got the diamond, Coetzee would likely kill both him and Solomon to keep the profits. So at the right moment, Danny suddenly attacked Coetzee and his men and killed them. However, in the chaos, Danny was shot and badly wounded. At the same time, Solomon managed to recover the diamond, and everyone was thrilled to see it. But just then, hearing the gunshots, the rest of Colonel Coetzee's soldiers arrived and started firing at them from a distance. The three of them, Danny, Solomon, and Solomon's son, barely managed to escape. On the way out, Danny took the diamond from Solomon and kept it with him. He then called a friend and asked him to come with a small plane to rescue them. The landing spot for the plane was atop a nearby mountain, so Danny, Solomon, and the boy started climbing it. But Danny, having been shot, was in excruciating pain and growing weaker by the minute. He could barely walk. Still, Solomon didn't want to leave him behind, so he lifted Danny onto his shoulders and continued the climb. Eventually, the pain became too unbearable for Danny. He said, "Leave me here. I don't think I'm going to survive much longer." He then handed the diamond back to Solomon and said, "I can't go any farther. Take your son and leave. Sell this diamond one day and live a good life with your family. To sell it, contact Maddie. She'll help you in every possible way." Danny also gave Solomon his gun and warned him, "Until you reach a safe place, trust no one, not even the pilot of the plane." Meanwhile, Coetzee's remaining soldiers were advancing from below. Seeing this, Solomon had no choice but to leave Danny behind and escape. Afterward, Danny called Maddie and told her, "I found the diamond, but unfortunately, I'll never be able to see you again. I'm sending Solomon to you with the diamond. Please help him." Hearing Danny's condition, Maddie was overwhelmed with worry. Danny continued, "I might die any moment now, but I'm glad I met you and became your friend." And with those last words, Danny slowly passed away. Maddie broke down in tears, devastated by the news. A few days after this incident, we see Solomon meeting Maddie in London. Maddie introduces him to a powerful diamond dealer named Van de Kopp. Before Danny died, he had arranged a deal with Van de Kopp to sell the large diamond. But since Danny is no longer alive, Solomon has come in his place to finalize the deal. In exchange for the diamond, Solomon's entire family is brought to London from Sierra Leone, and he has also paid £2 million. While Solomon is handing over the diamond and sealing the deal, Maddie secretly takes photographs of the entire exchange from a distance. Later, she publishes a news article, complete with pictures and proof, exposing how these diamonds were smuggled out of Sierra Leone during the war at the cost of innocent lives. After the article is released, Van de Kopp's reputation is completely ruined across the world. No one wants to buy diamonds from his company anymore. As a result of this exposure, people all over the world come to know about the harsh and painful reality of Sierra Leone. Later, Solomon is invited to a press conference where he speaks about how countless innocent people in his country were tortured and killed over these diamonds. Finally, the film shows that after this story came to light, in January 2003, 40 major countries around the world came together and signed an agreement called the Kimberley Process. The agreement stated that no diamonds, gold, or other precious resources should be bought from countries involved in ongoing wars. However, despite all this, diamonds and gold are still being illegally smuggled out of conflict zones around the world to this very day. And with this information, the story of the film comes to an end. So we'll end today's video here. Let us know how you liked it in the comments below. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, and if not, feel free to dislike. See you again in the next video.